Hey guys, last lesson for this week is on histograms. I saved the best for last. Histograms are probably the hardest one to work with, but I'm sure for you all this will be simple. First of all, a little history about histograms. A histogram shows the frequency of an occurrence. In other words, how often does this happen? A frequency is how often something occurs. A histogram will show a comparison of these frequencies. The height of each bar represents the number of data values in that interval. Let's remember number of data values because that becomes important. An interval is a set of numbers which lie between two distinct numbers. Those two numbers are also included in the set. Let's talk about that for a little bit. In order to create a histogram, A, collect your data. You gotta have something to actually show. 2, organize your data into a frequency table. Because remember, we're talking about how frequently something happens. I'm going to show where these asterisks are here. The categories must be equal. We're going to talk about that here in a moment. In other words, if you have 5 values in your first bar, you have to have 5 values in your second bar, 5 values in your third bar, etc., etc. They all have to be the same. Count to make sure you have included all data points, and there you have it. So let's talk about step 1. Here's the number of hours spent watching TV for the week. 4, 8, 12, 16, there's 20 of them. That's a lot of points, right? So if we look at this next slide, if we look at this next slide, we're going to look a little bit at step 2. And I want you to notice, because I can keep flipping back and forth, but you're going to have to kind of see how this works. We're going to put these in increments of 5. Meaning, the first interval is 0 through 4. And count for me, if you will. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's actually 5 numbers in that interval. So your next interval has to be the same. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, etc. Every interval has to be the same. So when you look at all 20 of these numbers, you're going to put them in intervals that are equal. And I would suggest you do this the same way that we did this previously with statistics. Meaning, I'm going to look for a 4 and a 5, or I'm going to look for anything between 0 and 4. So if I look between 0 and 4, I see one number. So I'm going to make sure that I have 1 in there. And that's supposed to be, halfway, not quite, okay? Then I'm going to look at the next one, and I'm going to go from 5 to 9. So I'm going to check that one off. Then I'm going to say there's 1, 2 of them between 5 and 9. So when I look at my chart, there are 2 of them between 5 and 9. Then I'm going to go to my next interval, which is 10 through 14. And I see 1, 2. So again, when I come back here, that should be the same height. Lo and behold, it is. The other thing about a histogram is, unlike a bar graph, there is no space in between my intervals. Why is there no space? Well, think about it. There's no space in between the numbers I'm using. It's 0 through 4, 5 through 9, 10 through 14, 15 through 19. There's no spot in between there, okay? So there's no space in between the bars of my histogram, okay? When I get those all finished, that's what it would look like, the hours spent watching TV. Step 3 is make that histogram. All right, let me see if I can put this back where I can stand on this side, and there we have it. So now, 6th grade students' heights. There are the heights of people 51 through 55 inches, 53 through 60, etc., etc. How many students were in the 71 to 75 inch group? Find the 75 through 71 inch group, check it all the way over, there are 10 of them. What percent of the students were at least 66 inches tall? Now we get a little funky, okay? We're asking about percentages. So in order to do percent proportions, remember we're looking for a part and a whole. And we know where this number goes because it goes the same place every single time. So I need to know what part that is. So I've got to count my intervals. How many students from 51 to 55? There were 20. How many here? How many here? How many here? And how many here? If I added those all together, I have a total of 150 students. 20 plus 30 plus 50 plus 40 plus 10. The portion that I'm looking for are the percent of students that are at least 66 inches tall. Here are the ones that are at least 66 inches tall. Now you got to remember back to when we talked about at most, at least, all or nothing. Remember when we did this, these are students that are at least 66 inches. So that's 40 plus 10. That's where I got my 50 from. Now I go X to 100%, and I know that 50 out of 150 is a third, or 33.3%. I hope that makes sense. If not, pause, go backwards, check it out again. All right, this histogram, oh gosh. Hang on a moment, we'll try to get the right thing here. It just gets funner and funner. Histogram shows the math quiz scores from a class. A score that is greater than or equal to 70 is passing. So in other words, this group passed, okay? 70 to 100. First question, how many students passed? So you're gonna have to add them up. There's 4 of them here, there's 3 of them here, there's 6 of them here. 6 plus 4 plus 3 is your answer. How many students failed the math quiz? Well, that'd be the rest of them. There's 4 and there's 2, which means there are 6 of them that did not pass. So the last question says, what percent of students scored greater or equal to a 70? Well, 2 plus 4 plus 4 plus 3 plus 6, that's 10 plus 9, so that's 19, I believe, unless I'm counting right. 4, 8, 10, 19. So out of a total of 19 students, we know that 13 passed. So if I was to divide 13 divided by 19, I think I would get 68%. This histogram shows the number of minutes customers were put on hold before talking to a representative. This, by the way, is just wrong. I would have hung up. All right. The question asks, what is the error? Okay? So, remember when I told you each one of these has to be the same. So from 1 to 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4. That means there's 4 different numbers in this interval. 5 and 6 is only 2. 7 and 9 is 3. 7, 8, 9. 10 to 15 is 6 of them. 16 to 21 is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So the intervals at the bottom are not equal, making that a really bad histogram. Okay? Hope that makes sense for you all. Different ages are listed below. What is wrong with the frequency table? Here's the frequency table. What's wrong with it? Think about it. Look at it. What's wrong with the frequency table? The intervals are not equal, and the first frequency should have 3 in it. Okay? From 0 to 20, I have 1, 2, 3, and not 4. Okay? So that's what's wrong with it, and also the intervals are not equal. 0 to 20 has 21 numbers. 21 through 40 has 20. 41 through 60 has 20. 61 through 80 has 20. there are two errors. This should be the number 1 because that's a 1, that's a 1, and that's a 1. So 2 different errors in this particular histogram. I do believe that answers all of our questions. If you have any others, email me, text me, watch my video again, and then hopefully print off your homework and get her done.